y'all, and we are live from the 704 once again for episode 87 of the A15 Exchange. And well, you know, I feel like I'm back. First off, let me start. I'm back. All right, I am back. We are back on the. We are back. All right, I'm back. Even though I really wasn't gone that long, I was literally. I had to go play soccer. Shout out to VSA. I went to go play soccer in the Olympics, the VSA Olympics for the Southeast this weekend. So I felt like I was gone, I'm going to be honest, for much longer. I feel like I've been gone for like a week. Alright, I've forgotten how to operate here in the 704, but you know what? We're back. Alright, we're back in front of the camera. This feels like home. I'm talking about sports, I'm talking about entertainment, and we've got the best sports. It's the best web show on the planet. It's the best web show on the planet with the best hosts, with the best audience. So yeah, we're back home. So yeah, you know, once again, go ahead and it's not going to be a very long one. All right, it's not going to be a very long episode. We're going to talk about some things I don't want to talk about, like the game that I won't speak about until, you know, about, let's say, 5 minutes from now is when we'll probably start talking about it. And I know y'all are really wanted me to talk about that game, but I've basically ignored it because I've been able to, because I was basically on vacation this weekend. And of course we'll talk about everything happening in entertainment, some shows and whatnot, some music. Dropped out a fantastic album of the year contender drop. Shout out to Dreamville. They also had Dreamville Fest, had some friends go to that. They enjoyed it, but yeah, you know what the drill is. You've been here, you know. We got 620 of us now subscribed to the channel, so appreciate you guys on the road to 700. Remember to like, share, and subscribe if you guys are enjoying the content, whether it is the A15 Exchange, whether it is the reaction videos, no matter what it is. If you guys are enjoying the content, remember to like, share, and subscribe. And as always, timestamps. It's not going to be a long episode, but still, as always, long form content. I'm going to provide you guys with timestamps, in case you want to skip ahead. So let's say the NBA this week or whatever. You want to hear me talk about soccer in the Roundup, talk about the World Cup, feel free to skip ahead. And yeah, my social media links, if you want to follow me there on IG, Snap, Twitter, TikTok, are all there in the description. Everything you're looking for, as I always say, is in the description. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's get the show on the road. Episode 87, and well. We have a national championship to talk about for the ladies, but we're going to talk about the Final Four first with the men. Kicking us off, we had Kansas and Villanova, all right? And Kansas, I'll hold that off until I talk about both Final Four games, all right? But Kansas wins 81-65. They've just been, besides that other team that won, scorching hot. And honestly, I'm not going to act like I had them in my Final Four. I'm pretty sure I haven't looked at my bracket because it's been ripped into shreds at this point. But I'm pretty sure I had them in the Final Four. I think they were almost my national championship pick. I'm very high on this team, very high on this Bill Self, what he's assembled here in Kansas. David McCormick he has been huge down the stretch for Kansas, and he's going to have to be huge in the national championship, and of course we'll talk about why. But Big Dave, 25-9 from McCormick. Jalen Wilson also stepped up, had the double-double, 11 and 12. Oche, he's the star man, he's a superstar, 21 points for Oche. Like I said, another guy. They are gelling at the right time, and I think that's the biggest indicator of success in March, is gelling and getting hot at the right time. And that's really what March is about, coming together as a team and playing your best ball when it matters, and that's what Kansas has done every step of the way. Colin Gillespie played what I would have to believe is his last game in Villanova. 17 points for probably a legendary Nova guard. I'm not sure. He'd probably get his Nova fans, you can correct me, but I wouldn't be surprised to see his number get retired. But yeah, Gillespie, 17. Slater also had a solid game with 16 and 8, but it just wasn't enough. Kansas continues to play. It seems like they played their best game of the season every single game. And like I said, that's a great indicator for success in March. They get it done here in the Final Four. And now the moment you have all been waiting for, the moment that you hit me up nonstop after the final of this game, after, you know, I went to go use my privileges of being a now 21-year-old to now drowning my sorrows while I got a bunch of text messages and memes and calls and Twitter notifications and Snapchat notifications and Instagram DMs from all of you guys asking and just taunting me because it happened. Not that I'm really surprised. If we go back the past couple weeks, I didn't believe in this team. Even though I said that I was ready to get hurt by this team and that I was going to believe in this team simply for the sake of the game, it was simply for the sake of the game. Not because I had really any true belief I felt in this team. But yeah, that team in Chapel Hill beat Duke 81-77. Caleb Love, for all of the grief I've given Caleb Love, he had 28 points. He had 26 in the second half. Yet again, he is going to get himself drafted. And you know what? I'm not going to slander Caleb Love. I have slandered Caleb enough. I was talking crazy during the game. He is a very talented player. With the right development, he could be a very good player. We've seen him make the difficult shots, which is what he did against us down the stretch, and he did a very good job of it. He looked like the 5-star Caleb Love. During the past couple games, Caleb Love has looked like who Caleb Love was supposed to be and not who he has been. And that's been, besides Armando being Armando, probably the biggest factor of why North Carolina is in the national championship. Is Caleb Love has been who he is supposed to have been the entire time. He has not been that guy up to this point in his career, but these last 2 games, we've seen Caleb Love look like who he was supposed to be coming out of high school. Speaking of the main man, he really should have been a National Player of the Year contention. He should have been ACC Player of the Year, with all due respect to my guy from Wake Forest. But Mondo went for 11 and 21. RJ Davis had 18, 7 and 4. Paulo Banchero was the best player on the floor. He had 20 points and 10 rebounds. Trevor Kills had 19 off the bench. But the problem was, ironically so, truly ironically so, since we're the ones, and I tweeted this out, we're the one, actually I cannot post that because of what I said in it, but we're usually the ones that get all the oh, you know, y'all getting helped by the refs, right? The Duke's rigged it, Coach K paid the refs, blah, 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 all that, right? We're normally the ones that receive all of that. This game was the complete opposite. We had a bunch of questionable calls. Theo almost fouled out. Mark had 4 fouls in the first half or something ridiculous. We got hoed. I'm going to be honest, we got hoed. It is what it is. We got hoed with the calls. The calls were, it was a very badly reffed game. And that's not me making an excuse, because another reason why we lost, and probably even a bigger one, because we had opportunities to win this game even with us getting hoed by the refs. And even though that was a factor and that didn't make this any easier, the biggest reason why we lost this game was because we could not rebound. We could not rebound the basketball. Now, Carolina has a lot of great size on their team, a lot to do with Leaky Black's versatility and just Armando being a great rebounder and the fact that it's just a great rebounding team that UNC has. But we did not rebound. For a team with the capabilities and talent we have and what we've shown throughout the season, we did not rebound. We didn't rebound. We didn't come to play like we did in that first game, which apparently was a fluke. Because we got beat twice. We lost the series. Coach K is retired. And we've lost pretty much the rivalry for eternity until this game happens again. We can't say anything, right? I can't slander North Carolina anymore. I can quietly hate, but I can't slander them anymore because we got out-rebounded horrendously. We could not get a defensive board to save our lives, and that was the big reason. UNC took advantage of those opportunities to offer those offensive boards and created chances. And look, it was a 4-point game at the end here. 4-point game, they won by 4, and that's what it came down to. That's truly what it came down to, and it is what it is. It's another team that had a bunch of potential and just couldn't fulfill it. Couldn't fulfill it for whatever reason. They couldn't fulfill it. This was a very winnable game. We weren't dealt the best cards in this game, but it was a winnable game, and we lost. We lost straight up. Congrats to Hubert Davis, one of the best coaches, it appears, in America, and is going to be an absolute slam dunk hire. I can't say anything bad about North Carolina. They won the way we've won the rivalry. I have conceded defeat. With all of the pride I have for that school in blue and Durham, I have to give credit where credit's due as a person that sits here in front of you, and even though I'm allowed to give my emotions on the show, and I do, and have, and will, I have to give credit where credit is due. Shout out to North Carolina. They were the better team. North Carolina is better than us. They won the series. They retired the GOATs. There's nothing much else to say, right? Nothing much else to say. Congrats to those people in Chapel Hill. Franklin Street was very lit. If I wasn't, a fan of the rival team, I probably would have been very excited and probably trying to go to Franklin Street if I wasn't in Athens. But nonetheless, that sets up, of course, tomorrow, Kansas versus UNC, the Roy Williams Bowl in the national championship. I'm not going to make a prediction. I'm not. Because my pride will want me to say Kansas, but every time I've picked against North Carolina, it doesn't work. So I'm tempted to say North Carolina, because I really wouldn't be surprised. North Carolina is the hottest team in the country. Armando Bacot looks like Shaq reloaded. Caleb Love looks like Jesus. The man is walking on water. I don't think North Carolina can do any wrong. And even though Kansas is probably the favorite, I believe they are. And normally I would favor them, and normally I would pick them. I dare say I might pick UNC because it just makes sense. Naturally, in the GOAT's retirement, in their greatest rivals, this is just would be the storybook, right? The storybook. First year of a new era for North Carolina with, your veteran team. You retired your biggest op, right? You retired your biggest op. You embarrassed him twice. You've won the rivalry over Duke for an eternity. That's done. That's finished. You've got bragging rights forever. We can't say anything to y'all anymore. It's done. It's finished, right? The only way to top it off would be to murk Kansas in the national championship and win the national championship in your op's biggest year. That's the only way. And I honestly, I think it's going to happen. So there's my prediction. I think North Carolina is going to win the national championship. Whoop-de-doo surprise. I am broken. All right, is this what you guys wanted? Is this what you wanted to hear? Is this what you wanted? Y'all are probably cackling at home. This is what you came for. This is what you tuned in for. Yeah, North Carolina's winning the national championship, all right? Get off of me. South Carolina and UConn. All right, so listen, we talked about two teams of destiny in the men's side in Kansas and definitely in North Carolina. South Carolina was absolutely the team of destiny, and consider it destiny fulfilled. Yeah, as of yesterday, 10 o'clock, 10:30 last night, South Carolina avenges the demons of last year and wins the national championship. Shout out to Dawn Staley, one of the legendary coaches on the women's side, and just in general in college basketball. 64-49, they get it done over UConn. Speaking of Destiny Henderson had 26, a career high. She was filling it up. Wasn't her most efficient night, but she got the job done and also played great defense against Paige. Paige Buckers only held to 1 for 6 versus Destiny Henderson. Even though Paige was able to get 14 and 6, it wasn't her best night, and it just wasn't UConn's night at all. South Carolina started this game like they wanted it. They wanted this game more. They started off 13-2. And South Carolina, don't get me wrong, Connecticut fought back, right? Paige tried to get him back in the game, but it was not enough. Aaliyah Boston was not going to be denied on this night. The National Player of the Year had 11 and 16. I think she won Most Outstanding Player, or at least she should have. She should have won all of the awards as far as I'm concerned. Cemented her place as a legendary women's college basketball figure. And one of the greatest players in South Carolina history. Definitely puts her up there in modern times with Asia. So yeah, shout out to Aaliyah. Destiny fulfilled. Destiny fulfilled for Henderson. Destiny fulfilled for Zia Cook. Destiny fulfilled most definitely for Dawn Staley and Aaliyah Boston. Paige will have to wait. We'll have to wait for her second title till her junior year. It was a tumultuous year. She had to deal with that injury. It'll be interesting to see what that UConn team, which was fairly young, I would say, see what they look like next year. South Carolina and UConn, of course, are always going to bring in talent. So I don't think they're going away as two of the top figures in all of college basketball, at least on the women's side. But congrats to SCAR, they get it done. Also, SCAR, congratulations, not only on the national championship, but congratulations, kind of going out of sports this weekend. Y'all were great. So yeah, shout out to y'all if for some reason you don't watch this. Let's go to the NBA. I got 5 minutes to go. We can get NBA in this time. The Dallas Mavericks. I'm going to talk about a marquee game amongst some of the top teams in the NBA, all right? The Dallas Mavericks got the win over Milwaukee, 118-112, and I'm really highlighting this game because it gives me a chance to talk about somebody I've shied away from talking about this year, not for any particular reason, but Luka Doncic had 32, 8 and 15, and is averaging 28, 9 and 9, and nobody's talking about it, really. No, not a soul is talking about how good Luka's been. Dude has been phenomenal. If we weren't so hyper-focused on the big men this year, and Giannis, who had 28 and 10 in this game, and has been phenomenal. He had that amazing game, an amazing winning play versus Philadelphia, who are reeling right now, earlier in the week. But yeah, Giannis has been great. Embiid, of course, has been one of the leaders in the MVP conversation before Jokic kind of took it over a little bit later here in the season. But the Mavericks, Luka, definitely need some attention, I would say. Of course, we've got to see what they do in the playoffs. Hopefully they don't have to play the Clippers and they fold again. But Mavericks looking good down the stretch here. Luka's been a superstar. He is what he is. Young legend, future all-time great as long as he stays healthy. But yeah, needs to be in some MVP combos because Mavericks have been great. And speaking, you know what? The Lakers are 2 games out of the playoffs. I don't think they're going to make the play-in. Actually, not even the playoffs. They're not even in the play-in. I don't think they're going to make it. I'm going to be honest. Just got to hope Bron comes back and gets the scoring title. That's all I'm talking about with the Lakers because they're irrelevant. Phoenix, Memphis, Golden State, and Dallas are your top 4 in the West. Now, the East is a bloodbath, but the West, it could be interesting. Of course, everybody pretty much expects Phoenix to be the dominant team. They have the best record in the NBA. They've been great so far, and they made the finals last year. And they would probably be my pick to make it this year. But a lot of new blood. A lot of new blood has emerged here. Memphis with Ja Morant and, Jaren Jackson and everything they're building there. It's going to be very interesting if they can get that 2 seed, what they can do in the playoffs. Golden State, the vets, Curry, Clay, Dre, y'all know the deal. Y'all know what the Warriors are. And the Mavericks, we'll see if they can finally get over the hump, but doing well so far. Still fighting for position. We'll see if they can get a little bit higher here in the standings. On the East side, Miami was able to get back the first overall seed, even though it's neck and neck with Boston for that first seed. Don't count out Milwaukee because they are hot. Even though they lost to Dallas, Giannis and Milwaukee are looking once again like they are peaking as a team at the right time, and they're just honestly, of the teams, I would say they're the most dangerous. Definitely in the East. The defending champs hitting their stride at the right time. I don't think it gets more dangerous than that with arguably the best player on the planet. Dare you say, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Philadelphia is reeling. They got to see if they can get it together. Harden and Embiid after the honeymoon stage is over, and it's taken some time. Doc Rivers is looking like he's going to fulfill his yearly prophecy of folding in the first round. Sixers reeling. We'll see what happens. But NBA is getting very close to playoff time. We'll see what happens in this next week, which is possibly the final week of the regular season as well. So might be talking about playoffs next week. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Entertainment. We got plenty to talk about in entertainment. Shout out to Moonlight for coming out. But we're not going to talk about that first. We are going to talk about, drumroll please, an album. Yes, we're talking about music once again. Because finally somebody in the States dropped it. It was the collective known as Dreamville. Yes, Dreamville, right ahead of their Dreamville Fest. Dropped D-Day, a Gangsta Grillz mixtape, and I'm going to give it a 9.3. A 9.3. I've listened to it, I think, we're going to call it maybe 2 times. We'll say 2 times. Listened to a couple of different songs multiple times, so yeah. We'll call it 2. I'm going to give it a 9.3. It's going to be one of the best albums I think I'm going to hear all year. Stick lived up to the hype. Jid, Cole, Shaq, Kenny. Ridiculous. Alright, ridiculous. Stick was absolutely ridiculous. Ari Lennox also did her thing. Really, it was a great mixtape. Honestly, if you haven't listened to it, one of the best albums of the year, I want to say. It was just great. And of course, it's a collective effort, so that's aided because you got the best of everybody, so to speak. But yeah, very, very good album. And like I said, everybody did their thing. Cole was at, in his finest of forms. Already said Ari Lennox showed up. Jid definitely showed up. And yeah, Bass did a great job. All right, it was a great job. It was a great album. 9.3. D-Day, a Gangsta Grillz album. Go listen to it if you went to Dreamville Fest. Hope you guys enjoyed it. It looked like a great time. So yeah, shout out to Dreamville, man. Shout out to NC, baby. Shout out to NC. Telly. All right, let's talk about Telly, yeah. Attack on Titan Season 4 Part 2 finale is what we're gonna call this. We're getting Part 3. Alright, we're gonna call it Part 3. No movie. It's like we said, we knew it was gonna be a movie or it's gonna be another season. We're getting Part 3. Alright, we're getting Season 4 Part 3 next year. It's gonna be a long wait. But this was a great finale, alright? It's one of my favorite chapters in the manga. So yeah, it was cool to see it finally get visualized, and it was pretty much all about Eren and Mikasa. All right, we went back to the first time the pair as devils or heroes or whatever you want to call them. First time they got outside of the world, they got to see the outside world and made that journey. Of course, we got to see Eren kind of in that state of him turning and evolving into what we knew, and it was kind of Mikasa's flashback of wondering, you know. Was he always like this? Was he always who he became? And of course, that immortal question in Attack on Titan lore of if she had answered him differently to when he asked, basically, what are we? What am I to you? If she'd have said something besides family, would things have turned out different? But yeah, this was Eren and Mikasa's episode, I'll be honest. Pretty much put to rest all of the questions of was Eren attracted to that, which really shouldn't have been a question, of whether Eren was into Mikasa. Also, Zeke explained that out for if you guys needed to. Further, elaboration on if Eren's, rampage against her and Armin was his true feelings. The answer is no. Spoiler alert. But yeah, he made up the kind of headaches thing. But like I said, it was a great episode. It was a great episode to see the drink scene, which is another iconic scene in Attack on Titan. Get that visualized. And we got some added scenes with that, getting to see more of the party, so that was cool. And then we just got to see Eren kind of going back in time and him going through his plan, going through the motions, and him meeting with Flock, meeting with Yelena, kind of setting everything up. And then we got that awesome shot to close the show, close the season, close the parts with the rumbling, and finally everybody getting to see Eren's final form of that absolute colossal horror monster that the Attack Titan has become as the founder. So yeah, it's all heating up, it's all coming to a head. Yeah, a great episode. Probably a legendary episode for what it is, but you would probably expect in an episode of this magnitude, being what it was. But yeah, AOT, one of the best animes of all time, and another great episode there. Moon Knight debuted with a very interesting, a very compelling episode 1, which was pretty much all about Mark versus Steven. They did a great way to kind of display the DID and kind of Mark. I guess Mark is the host. I don't know what to call him, alright? Because they're both him, but I'm going to call him Mark because it's Mark, right? Mark is the host identity. But they did a great job splitting between Steven kind of being disoriented and then him cutting to Mark, right, when he was in trouble, and then cutting back to Steven. And you didn't see what Mark did, but you just saw the carnage that happened before we got to see, that final scene with the Moon Knight costume. Oscar Isaac put on a clinic, an acting clinic, kind of playing the two roles. He did a great job, especially in that last scene, kind of differentiating between the two in the mirror. Mark saying, "Let me save us," before Steven allowing him to turn. So yeah, just I'm really liking Moon Knight. I'm very excited about episode 2 and kind of getting to see more of the personalities, seeing what's happening there. And just to lead a little details about the shows, but it's made that episode 1 special. So yeah, very optimistic about Moon Knight. If you haven't checked it out, highly recommend it. Winning Time, we always talk about it, episode 5. Finally got the season underway. I did not know Paula Abdul was the first Laker goal, but that was cool to see. Got to see their conception and kind of seeing Dr. Bus kind of dealing with the stress. He's played it off very well in those first couple of episodes, but the stress was starting to get to him in this episode. We also got to see a lot more about Kareem's story. And for a comedic show, they got very serious with that, and I think it was still very well done. Kind of getting to see Kareem open up in the success of the team. Of course, we ended with Jerry getting hurt, which of course will open up the window, if you don't know basketball history, for Paul Westhead to come in and take over as coach. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But yeah, another great episode of Winning Time. It's one of my favorite shows on television right now. Obviously, I'm watching it, but yeah, I definitely say it's one of my favorite shows on television. Always entertaining. If you're not watching on HBO Max, highly recommend that also. And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, yes, like I said, it was going to be a short one. We have reached the Roundup. The Roundup, yes. World Cup came out, all right? The World Cup is here, and I know they gave us the bands group. All right, they did. They absolutely gave us the bands group, but we're not going to talk about that yet. Just kind of going through all the groups here. Got a good pulled up for you guys. Group A, Qatar, Ecuador, Senegal, and the Netherlands. Pretty confident about Senegal and the Netherlands making it out of that one. Of course, we got Group B, and B is for banter, because this is the most, it's just jokes, all right? England, Iran, and USA. With the chance of either Ukraine or Wales, or I think it's Scotland, that could be the other team. That's so conveniently placed. So conveniently placed, right? Just all of the political conflict in one group. So yeah, that's jokes. We'll see what happens. Of course, it's good to be back in the World Cup. We won't talk about that game against Costa Rica, but it is nice to be back in the World Cup and all of that. But yeah, it should be interesting. I feel like we got a good chance of making it out. I don't know about us beating England, but depending on the other two teams, I feel like we got a good chance of making it out of this group and making it to the knockout stage once again. Group C, you got Argentina, Saudi Arabia, Mexico, and Poland, which should be a very interesting group, especially between Argentina, Mexico, and Poland with Lua, which always makes them dangerous. Group D, you got France, the IC playoff, Denmark, and Tunisia. France, defending champs. Mbappe is, we'll talk about Mbappe. We're going to talk about Mbappe. Group E, you got Spain, the ICP playoff, Germany, and Japan. That could be the group of death, potentially, depending on the ICP playoff. But Spain and Germany in that group makes that very, very interesting. Group F is also Belgium. It's now or never. This is it for the golden generation. If they're going to get any piece of silverware, this is it. This is it for them. In the group, they got Canada, Morocco, Croatia. There's some landmines. There's some landmines. It's not the easiest group. It's arguably a group of death, potentially. So yeah, that's going to be interesting. Brazil, Serbia, Switzerland, Cameroon, the newly minted world number 1 Brazil, playing very well lately. We'll see what happens there in that group. And of course, they end off Portugal, Ghana, Uruguay, and Korea, which I think is going to be a very exciting group to watch. Ronaldo possibly in his last World Cup. Heung-Min Son finally getting to play on the big stage, representing his country. Uruguay always has talent. Ghana is always dangerous in the World Cup. So, should be very interesting, despite it being in Qatar and all the circumstances surrounding that. It's in the winter this year. Still should be a very good World Cup, hopefully. A lot of talent to go around, so we'll be looking forward to it. Mbappe, King Kylian. He's the best player in the world, all right? 2 goals. I know they were playing Laurent, but it was the first time all 3 of them had scored in the same game. And Mbappe is the best player in the world. If you listen, he's the best player in the world. It's a debate, sure, but I'm going to say he's the best player in the world. Because there's nobody I watch when I watch him that I see is better. For what he's done this season, even being out of the Champions League, which returns this week, thankfully. I need something to talk about. He's the best player in the world. Absolutely absurd performance yesterday. So, yeah, shout out to King Kylian. Denny Hamlin wins at Richmond. Denny gets on the board. Another different winner in NASCAR this year. The playoffs is really filling up very, very early here. But yeah, Denny wins at home back in Richmond. So yeah, shout out to Denny Hamlin. Feels like Denny hasn't won in a while. So yeah, nice to see him get back into winning ways. Of course, he's now a car owner. So it will be interesting to see how the rest of the season, which we've seen a bunch of different winners, we'll see if it's another different winner next week. F1 will also be back next week, so we'll talk about that in the roundup. But to end off, NHL, Austin Matthews, the best American in the world. 50 goals, first American to hit 50 in a long, long time. Currently leading the Richard race. We'll see what happens there. But yeah, Matthews, electric, one of the best players in the world. Can't ask for much more from Austin. But yeah. And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I hope you guys enjoyed episode 87. We're back. Nothing much more to say besides that. As always, remember to like, share, and subscribe. If you guys enjoyed today's episode, without further ado, Ocho, signing off.